Ossoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your continued leadership and oversight of the Bureau of Prisons. It's been a pleasure working with you, and proud of the legislation we've introduced together this week, which we'll touch on in a moment. Director Peters, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you, sir.
And appreciated your time yesterday when we met in my office. And as I said then, I want you to succeed in fixing what's broken at an agency where quite a bit has been broken. I want to begin noting that in July, the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, or PSI, held a hearing as part of our months-long investigation into corruption, misconduct, and abuse at the U.S. Penitentiary in Atlanta. I'd like to ask you for your commitment to join me on a site visit at U.S. Penitentiary Atlanta later this year to inspect the facility, to meet with and hear directly from those who are incarcerated there, including pretrial detainees and the staff, and to brief the public on our conclusions thereafter. Can you make that commitment to me, please?
Senator, you and I spoke about this yesterday. I was already scheduled to visit USP Atlanta, and it would be an honor to tour that facility with you.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I want to follow up again on that same hearing and investigation that the PSI undertook and is continuing. Following then Director Carvajal's testimony in July, we submitted questions for the record to the Bureau of Prisons, and responses were due on September 15th. We've heard nothing from BOP or DOJ, nor have we received any request for an extension, and this is consistent with long-standing and consistent challenges that we've had securing the information that we need from the Bureau of Prisons and from the department as part of the ongoing oversight of the Bureau of Prisons. I want to emphasize, of course, my recognition that you're new in this post and you do not bear responsibility for those past failures to comply with congressional oversight. As I mentioned yesterday when we met in my office, my hope is that with the fresh leadership that you bring to the Bureau, that you can set a new tone of cooperation with Congress as we engage in good faith oversight of the Bureau of Prisons. And I recognize that the Department of Justice plays a role in determining how requests for information are conveyed to Congress. I'd like to ask for your commitment that you'll make every effort that you can to get me as soon as possible information about when we can expect answers to those questions and to expedite their production to the best of your ability.
I will, Senator.
Thank you, Director. I appreciate that. In addition to those questions for the record from the July hearing, to which we've not yet received a response, we have two outstanding letters from the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations to the Bureau of Prisons related to an ongoing investigation, one from April and one from August. And again, we've received no information from the Bureau of Prisons in response. So I'd like a similar commitment from you that, to the best of your ability and to the extent that it's within your power, you'll do everything you can to get me as specific and precise information you can about when we will receive responses to those requests and the production of relevant records. Can you make that commitment?
I can, Senator.
Thank you, Director Peters. Do you agree and would you welcome what I believe is needed, which is strong and independent oversight of BOP in light of the misconduct and deficiencies and failures that you acknowledged in your opening statement and which you've committed to address?
I do, Senator. I've had multiple conversations with the Inspector General himself and see him as a partner and someone who will help us pivot to the future.
I'm glad to hear that. And yesterday, with Chairman Durbin and our Republican colleague, Senator Brown, I introduced the Bipartisan Federal Prison Oversight Act, which will overhaul oversight of federal prisons, significantly strengthen DOJ's Inspector General to conduct that oversight, as well as establish a new independent ombudsman of the Department of Justice to handle and investigate complaints from either incarcerated people or staff. Should this bill pass, will you commit to working in good faith with the Congress, with the department's Inspector General, and with the Office of the Ombudsman to ensure its successful implementation and to provide timely those records requested by those entities?
Of course, Senator.
Thank you, Director. Held a hearing just recently in the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations focused on state and local prisons and jails and deaths in custody. And we focused on the efforts of the Department of Justice to collect death in custody data. This is well outside of your purview. That's a matter for the Office of Justice Programs. But I'd like to ask if you will publish for the public facility-by-facility death data within BOP facilities.
Senator, I can certainly consult our team of lawyers and see if that's a possibility.
I appreciate that, and if you wouldn't mind letting me know what you determine, I'd be grateful for that. Finally, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, just very briefly, Director, this was an issue that came up frequently in questioning of Director Carvajal. Senator Durbin questioned him repeatedly. I questioned him in PSI about who has ultimate responsibility for what happens at the BOP. And again, I'm wishing you the best. I want you to succeed, and I want to help you to succeed to fix what's broken. The buck will stop with you and does stop with you, correct?
That is correct, Senator.
You will bear personal and ultimate responsibility for what happens at the Bureau of Prisons, correct?
That is correct, Senator.
I want to encourage you to consider being personally briefed on the suicide reconstruction reports that are produced when inmates in BOP facilities commit suicide. Those are an invaluable resource for you to understand what's happening in your facilities. Will you make a commitment to be briefed on the findings of those suicide reconstruction reports at BOP facilities?
Senator, I've already read many of those reports, so I would continue that practice.
On an ongoing basis?
That is correct, Senator.
Thank you, Director Peters. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Ossoff. Senator Whitehouse.